That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, councillors' questions, supplementaries on Part A. Question 1, Councillor Phil Downing, please.
The presiding member.
Can't hear you, Phil.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing from me, presiding member.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Can I come in, presiding member, and ask a question?
Yes, certainly.
Right. Can I ask the cabinet member, given that we're asking people to abide by the rules, does he have any views on a group leader and ministers of Welsh Government caught breaking the rules?
Yeah, can I just come in there? I got to say, I think it's only right and proper that we all observe the rules. I think I'm very proud of the work that our licensing team and our public health team has actually done working together. I do agree. I think the rules are for everybody. So I would, at this point, I really would like to pay tribute to Penny Matthews, who's been supporting me throughout this, and the team licensing. So yes, the answer is yes. I totally agree. We are doing what we can, and everybody should be following the rules.
Thank you, Dave. Question 2 then, Councillor Phil Downing.
Yeah, thank you, presiding member. Can I thank the cabinet member for his response, but also the cabinet for introducing the community budget scheme, as this allows members to carry out certain works in their wards that would normally quite take a long time, or maybe not be done at all. But I have 2 questions. Can the cabinet member tell council how much was available through our community budgets prior to 2012 to deliver schemes in their wards? And my second question is, again, can the cabinet member also tell council what the total community budget is available for this term of office, 2017 to 2022? Thank you, presiding member.
Thank you. Cabinet member.
Thank you, presiding member, and thank you, Councillor Downing, for the supplementary questions. To answer the first question, compared to what we have available now, not much. In fact, it was actually 10 times lower per year at only £1,000 per councillor, totaling only £350,000 for the term leading up to 2012. In fact, I've actually been told by some members that they had great difficulty even getting something as minor as a traffic bollard installed. It's no wonder that, at least in my community of Penrowell, it felt that nothing was getting done before 2012. Just to go on to your second question, as you see from my answer laid out in the agenda, since 2017, over £2 million has already been spent, and there's a further £3.5 million available for our communities up to 2022. That's a total of £3.6 million via the community budget and a further £2 million capital. I'm proud to say that since 2017, this administration has made over £5.5 million available for community-led projects, and I'm very grateful to the leader and the previous Labour administration for introducing the community budget that allows all members across this council to have a direct input into improvements in their own areas.
Thank you, Cabinet Member. Councillor Will. Sorry,
I am finished yet, Chair.
Sorry. You paused for too long.
Yes, because of the feedback. Since where was I now? Since 2012, we've actually made a staggering £7.5 million available for our community priorities. All areas across the county have benefited from some outstanding schemes. In fact, West Cross members, as you're aware, presiding member, recently funded an excellent low-level lighting scheme along the promenade, something I understand has gone down very well in the community.
Yeah.
I'm also pleased that we made available the funds to allow councillors over in Mumbles commission some outstanding murals about the area, from castles to local wildlife, foxes and even badgers. too bad that while they were commissioning the artwork for these fantastic murals, that they did not think to write to their Conservative colleagues in the UK government, who in 2019 alone were responsible for culling over 34,000 badgers, and 2020 was set to be double that. Painting murals of badgers in Wales while culling badgers in England. Strange priorities, but there we are. Thankfully, the Labour Welsh government does not share the same ethos and prioritises vaccination over culling. So apologies for going a little off topic there, presiding member. I will sum up. I'm proud whenever I see or hear positive stories in the media on various community schemes, whether it's in my own ward of Penrowell, Pontedalais, Townhill, Mumbles or Uplands, that it was the investment by this Labour administration that made that possible. And it would be remiss of me when we are talking about community budgets not to thank Jane Hunt, our community budget officer, for the dedication that she's put into the role from the start. The support she's given members has been second to none, and I'm sure you'll agree that she's been an asset to the local authority. Hope that answers your questions, Phil.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. Councillor Will Thomas.
Yeah, thank you for that party political broadcast. That was fantastic. You'll be fully aware I have nothing to do with the culling of badgers, and I am not for the culling of badgers. So if one of my box murals was of a badger, then that's nothing to do with the Conservative Party's stance on badgers. Okay, so we'll move on from that. Yeah, I think the community budget scheme is absolutely fantastic. It allows local ward members to really nail down into the things that are missing in their ward. So that's great, and long may it continue. So well done to the cabinet for that. And Des and Mark, I think living nearby, I think that's a really good scheme that you've put forward on the front there. So congratulations on that one specifically. Yep. Talking about the capital schemes, I'm sure other members might be having similar challenges to myself. It's I've got a traffic management scheme I'm trying to put forward, and obviously I think our road safety department are extremely stretched and extremely busy, and I'm just wondering if there's any way we could look at speeding up some of those schemes really, and is there any way of outsourcing the work, or do we have a plan to help bring those forward, because I think there's a bit of a backlog when it comes to road safety schemes.
Thank you. Is Andrew or Mark going to take that? It looks like you, Andrew.
I'm happy to respond, Chair. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
I wasn't prepared for the question, I suppose. Yeah, look, road safety teams, highways, everything we do is challenged at the moment. I mean, we've been under the cosh right across all our services, and it is difficult. It is a challenge, but there is a commitment. We have given a commitment that provided their members get their schemes in, they will be completed by the end of this term. So, that is, but when we lose staff through retirement, give you an example, the head of our road safety team, you all know, Jeff Green, retired from the authority with 40 years experience. You can't replace that overnight. You can recruit to replace him, but you can't get that level of experience that he's got. And we miss him, and any organisation would miss somebody with 40 years experience in it. So, but we are getting there. As I said, we have committed to it would have been a challenge anyway, but with the pandemic as well, it's really made a challenge, because it is amazing about how I know day-to-day work across the authority, the fact that officers too can't travel in a van together, that sort of thing, it's been really restrictive and prohibited us doing our normal routines. But we will get there. But, it is a challenge, and we recognise that.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, question 3, Councillor Mike Day.
Thank you, presiding member, and thank you, cabinet member, for the response. I noted that in a reply to a question from a member of the public earlier on, that you said that all statutory consultation had been undertaken. But would you acknowledge that local councillors and residents have not been properly informed and consulted over the design of the schemes? And can you tell council how the cabinet will respond to the comment from the Welsh Government's transport policy team leader, who in a letter to a local resident has said, and I quote, Early and continuous engagement and communication to ensure local communities are involved and informed in the development of schemes is very important. This process allows issues to be raised and addressed throughout the development, and the Welsh Government have reflected the need to do this in its draft updated guidance. I have discussed this with the Council and alerted them to the need to improve their consultation and engagement practices.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I can respond. I'm happy to respond to that. Well, it's quite interesting. It depends what you mean by consultation with ward councillors and members of the public. I wrote to all ward councillors with every scheme in 2020, every single councillor who had a scheme in their ward. On the 27th of August 2020, I didn't have one response from a single councillor. I invited you to get engaged with every scheme in your ward, every councillor of every political persuasion, and not one of you took up my offer. So it's easy to come and criticise the fact that we are not consulting. Consultation is a two-way process. And in regards to consultation, the challenge we've had, and you know it, Councillor Day, is that many people are opposed to these schemes. They don't want consultation, they don't want input into the scheme, they are vehemently opposed to the schemes. And what they are looking for is us to stop the schemes. The schemes have been approved as part of our consultation exercise in 2017, citywide consultation exercise. They've been approved at Cabinet and they've been grant funded by Welsh Government. Yet many residents in these wards have wanted to stop the schemes. That is not consultation. That is to overturn the will of this authority. A democratic decision made by this authority that is wanted to be overturned. We are not in the business of consulting on those terms. I'm very strong about it, but that's the way we've done it. Also, as you're aware, we are very restricted for time. From the time we get approval for these grants and they're accepted by this authority, we are really up against time to do the consultation that people may want or would prefer to have.
Presiding member, I wonder if I could come back and ask the Cabinet member if he could recall that following his communication to us at the end of August, that Councillor Peter Jones, on behalf of the Sketty councillors, had written back to ask for further information. We received a response to say that there were no details of the schemes that could be shared in terms of the design, and we received that as ward councillors at the beginning of October. And I would refute what he's saying in connection with local residents. Over 650 people have signed a petition not to stop the project, but rather to pause it until the various bits of information had been received.
Yes, I know what the petition said, but I also know about the many scores of emails and repeat emails I received from residents and interested parties. The vast majority of the emails I received was to stop the scheme because they were vehemently opposed to the scheme. And that was on a number of the schemes. With all due respect, Chair, I've answered, there's questions that came up in public questions over this that I've answered. I believe, and I've already stated, that we have carried out all the statutory consultation that we have required. I've got nothing further to add, and if Councillor Day wants to ask any more repeat questions, can I suggest that those are put in writing and I'll send a written response, because I've got nothing more to add to this conversation, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Thomas. Okay, question 4.
Sorry.
Councillor Will Thomas.
Yeah, I did have my hand up for the question, to ask a supplementary question on.
Oh, you? Okay, well, you've heard the response from the Cabinet member. He's said all he has to say on the subject. Do you want to pursue your question, Councillor Philpott?
I've got another question, presiding member.
Okay.
It's on a similar vein. However, I have noticed that an ecologist report on the Alpha link was only commissioned in December and was undertaken in January. And given what the Cabinet member has just said about that everything was done and, you know, everything went through the correct format and etc., etc., It seems a little strange to me that so late in the day, when the works had started, that all of a sudden somebody realised there's an ecologist report needed to be done. And this is, you know, this adds, when people find out, when residents find out, this is why they get so upset. And I'm not going to repeat what I said in last council, which was, if you work with people, then you don't get those people so vehemently opposed to a scheme. We all know this. If you work with people, then it's a lot better. But, you know, can the cabinet member actually say why the scheme was only undertaken on the 4th of January, having been commissioned in December, and what responses will be made to the recommendations in the report?
Sorry, Chair, some of that last end of that broke up. As I said, we have complied with all statutory consultation and statutory appraisals that have needed for this scheme. They might not have been at the time that people have wanted them, but we have fulfilled our legal requirements through all of these schemes. I said I'm happy to take Councillor Philpott's question and respond to it in writing. I didn't catch the end of it, I'm sorry, because it broke up. I don't know if it broke up, it was just me, but I didn't quite catch the end. But I'm happy to respond to that with a written response, Chair.
Shall I repeat the end of the question, presiding member?
Well, can you let Councillor Mark Thomas have it in writing, perhaps, and then he can respond to you and respond to us all, in fact. Yeah. So we'll all have it in writing. Okay. Councillor Will Thomas. Will, was it on question 3 or question 4?
Question 4 is the next one, and that's
yeah. Oh, okay.
My hand up for question 3. I've had it up for some time.
It's not on my device.
Well, it's showing on mine. Oh, galore. Oh.
Go on then, Wendy.
Yeah, well, it's really coming back to the consultation situation. There is a proposal in my ward for a cycle route along Gosainon Road. I've been told that the consultation was in 2017 and it's on a map. And yet, you see, I'm the only one that's been informed. And when I look at the Active Travel Act guidance that the Welsh Government have provided in connection with consultation and engagement, the minimum expectation on who to engage, and I would ask the Cabinet member, would he agree that this is the way it should be done? So the minimum expectation on who to engage would be local members. Yes, I have been consulted. Town and community councils, local residents, note that, stakeholders affected by the scheme. Now, as far as I'm aware, in my ward, community council hasn't been consulted, local residents haven't been consulted, and I'm not sure about stakeholders. So perhaps the Cabinet member could comment on that.
Chair, nothing to add to my previous responses.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Phil Downing, is it on question 3, Phil?
Yes, it's on the active travel plan, and obviously right. it's regarding Pontyddulais. So I don't know whether is that. Can I carry on with that question, or do you think it's
Pontyddulais not? Is it mentioned? I can't see it on question 3. Is there? Question 3 doesn't refer to Pontyddulais, Phil.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Okay, sorry. Councillor Peter May.
Thank you. Question 3. First of all, I'd like to thank the Cabinet member on his active engagement in the Broadway scheme and Town Hill Road scheme active travel. Vital modifications were made as works were going on, and that's a huge thank you to the Cabinet member on that. It has made a difference, and obviously to the engagers and the officers and contractors as well throughout the process. The point I'm going to ask is we currently have a further active travel project proposal coming up for Walter Road, in fact all the way up Sketty Road from the city centre to Sketty Cross. Is there going to be a different tack or of consultation compared to these schemes that are mentioned in the list for this scheme coming up? And does this, if there is a different sort of approach to consultation, would the cabinet member concede that this is an acknowledgement that things didn't go quite as well as they should on the previous schemes?
No, I don't acknowledge that it's as a recognition of it didn't go as well on the previous schemes. The Walters Road scheme has such a huge impact on a wide part of the Swansea community. It is not only going to impact directly on residents and people living in and around Uplands, Sketty area. It's a major commuter route in and out of Swansea city centre. And as a result of that, we have decided to take a different approach, and that is to actually seek funding to do a huge widespread consultation on this scheme because of the scale of it. We recognise that the impact of that scheme will have, or potentially could be seen as having possible detrimental impacts on businesses and residents along the route. And it's vital that we notify them in plenty of time so that they are comforted that the scheme is not going to be detrimental, because we don't believe it will be. But it is not of the same scale of a cycle route through Clyne Valley, for example, or a route up Walters Road. Not to say that they are not important, but the impact and the direct impact on this was seen as something that needed individual consultation. We are only following that process with this scheme. All other bids going in this year are going in the normal way that we've bid over all of our last 3 or 4 successful years.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mark Child.
Thank you. Can I say to the cabinet member how much I welcome the scheme on Males Road? Somebody, I don't know who else cycles up and down Males Road amongst the populace on this call, but it is something that will be much safer for cyclists, and I realise there are 1 or 2 issues around little bits of it, but the principle is fantastic, and rather than argue about the thing, get it built is my opinion, because there's something that I've advocated for a long time. It's the route across Clyne Common between the top of Males and West Cross and Bishopston, and can you confirm, you can do it in writing if you wish, that route is dependent on the route going up Males Road, otherwise we're not going to get it. And I know I'm not the only councillor here that's argued for that route.
Yeah, I can answer that directly, Councillor Chair. Yeah, just briefly, it is a critical enabler. Without this link, we can't do the Clyne Common link and further on to Bishopston, Penard and beyond. It's critical to do that.
Thank you, Mark. Councillor Linda Taylor-Lloyd.
Hello. I must speak. I know that you don't say anything more. Hear me. I'm getting feedback. But I want to say that I have been in consultation with all the officers right from the first time that this money was available. I have spoken, trying to put the Males people's point of view forward. And so I can't say that, you can't say that I haven't consulted. I have tried my best to put forward the views of the people in Males. Now, why they have got into such a state about it is because Males is such a beautiful road. And they also couldn't understand why it was going nowhere when it got to the top of the common. So let's hope that that goes ahead at the top of the common. But also, I pray and hope that the road will still be as beautiful when it's finished, when its active traffic plan is finished just now, because that is what is upsetting people. The fact that it's such a wonderful entrance to the Gower, and it's such a beautiful road. It's the gold standard, I think, of a beautiful avenue. So I know that what I say isn't going to have any effect on the fact that it's happening, but I just pray that it's going to be beautiful when it's finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Terry Hennigan.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I've been listening to what been said this last quarter of an hour, 20 minutes very carefully, and it reminds me of what happened last year. And I'll say to the Cabinet Member, would you agree, Cabinet Member, that the Broadway roadworks has worked a treat?
Yes, Councillor Hennigan, I would agree with, I mean, we had similar opposition, if you remember. I couldn't find anybody else in the whole of Swansea who thought that the redevelopment of the Broadway scheme was a good idea. In fact, quite the opposite. Now, there's nothing but praise for the scheme and the advantages it brings to all users, not just people in Sketty and Uplands, but all users. Again, another major strategic route. And all of these routes we are installing as active travel, without the bits and pieces joined up, then we don't have a network, and we don't have a successful network for people to use and enjoy. It's critical.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Okay, on to question 4 then. Councillor Will Thomas.
Thank you, presiding member. Another one for you, Mark, I suppose. Busy tonight. Obviously, the plastic bags, recycling in the question. Plastic does tend to blow around the road a lot, so it's great to hear that there's a new bag planned. You know, there's I don't know if other wards have got the same issue, but it's very windy in Mumbles and around the area, and whenever it's plastic recycling day, there's often a lot of plastic around. So if you could give a little bit more detail about that, the bag, I'm sure not everyone will find it quite so interesting as myself, but just give us peace of mind that it'll keep more plastic inside the bags on recycling day, please.
Yes, you know, basically, and very briefly, Chair, it's the new bags have more Velcro on them. That's it in a nutshell. And as a result, that should keep more plastic in the bag more of the time. Nothing is fail-safe, but we're optimistic it will improve the situation from today.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Mine are out tonight. I will let you know in the morning what's happened to the plastic. Okay, thank you. Question 5, Councillor Phil Downing.
No, nothing from me, presiding member.
Okay, thank you. Question 6.
Presiding member, I have a question.
Sorry, Cyril. Apologies, okay. Cyril.
Thanks. I'd like to thank the Cabinet member for his response. But can the Cabinet member tell us if he have had any indication of how successful the scheme has been?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Anderson. Yeah, as I said earlier on, I think it's been widely accepted and benefits. The difficulty we've had at the moment is because of the reduced volume of traffic because of COVID. We haven't got true comparators to, you know, what it was like this time last year, for example, before the pandemic hit. But I think it was in September, October time, or August, September, around that time, autumn, we had similar levels to what it was. And, you know, it has been tested at high levels. So we are confident that it's, I mean, the cynics may say that it's easy and quiet there because the traffic is down. That's not the case. This will do the job. This will improve things. And it's not just car users. It's young people who access T-Course College. It's safer to cross that road. It's a much safer environment for the staff and the pupils attending the colleges and things like that. So it's not just road users. It's pedestrians, cyclists, etc. as well. So it's definitely of benefit for all.
Can I just come back on that, presiding member?
Yes.
I used it to go up to Sketty the other day to take somebody to the vet, and I found the road a lot more better. Being an ex-taxi driver, anything was better than the old way. Thank you.
Thank you, Cyril. Okay, takes us to question 5. No, where are we?
I don't know if you're totally ignoring me this evening. That's tongue in cheek.
Where are you?
I have my hand.
Cheryl, sorry, Cheryl, you done the... Yeah, go on, Cheryl.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, possibly again, tongue in cheek for the first part. In addition to what is clearly a very self-congratulatory question, but on a serious note, the Sketty ward councillors have for a very long time lobbied for work to be done on the 2 junctions because of the safety not only the safety aspect, but also the air quality as well. So we were delighted when we knew that something was going to be done. So in response to Councillor Mark Thomas earlier, when he said there was nobody who thought that it was going to be a good idea, we really did think that it was going to be a good idea. We did work with the officers. We did put some constructive ideas forward and obviously challenged on the concerns that people had. the ward members organised a number of consultation events where the officers very kindly came and answered people's questions through a drop-in session in the library, which was very successful. And I think that because residents' fears were allayed by the opportunity to come and talk to officers directly, I think that was part of the success of not having people against the scheme. I did have one gentleman who wrote to me and said that if I didn't stop it, he would immediately ask in the Evening Post for my resignation. But I ignored that because I thought it was a very, very good scheme. And I would like to add my congratulations to the Labour members who put this question forward, because it has improved the road safety and the flow of traffic, and therefore the air quality, absolutely. So my thanks to all.
Can I just a brief response, Chair? Yeah, and I apologise for that, Councillor Phil, but you are right. Poor choice of words. I shouldn't have said nobody, but very few. And yes, I do accept that the ward councillors in Sketty were supportive and helpful with the process. Yeah.
Thank you, Gerald. Thank you, Mark. Question 6, Councillor Crisoli.
Thank you, presiding members, and thank the leader for the answer. I appreciate that because this correspondence is still going on, that there's you cannot say anything publicly. What I would like, though, is some information with regards to timescales. If we could have that, if it would be appropriate, I think. And can I add that it's not, I have some sympathy with Councillor Mark Thomas, because there's a couple of projects we were involved in, and one of them reminds me of the bridges in the Towie, where everyone, including some of his colleagues at the time, condemned the fact that it was being done. But now it's extremely successful, and even in Post were delighted. It didn't campaign against it again. So I understand how you feel, Councillor Thomas, and I appreciate that you're in a difficult position. But on this question, a written reply from the leader would be ideal.
Thank you. Does that suit you, Leader?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We'll do our best to conclude these as quickly as possible, but it is a live legal process. So yes, if I'm able to, I will give Councillor Holly a further written response.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Question 7, Councillor Will Thomas.
Thank you, presiding member, and I'd just like to thank the leader and the cabinet member for giving quite a lot of time to me on this topic with regards to Langland tennis courts. Both of them have met with me on a number of occasions and heard my views on the site, and they've both been very communicative in their responses. So thank you for that. I'd just like to try and get over to the whole council, really, how much of a local issue this is. I've received a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, a lot of people stopping me in the street worried about what's happening with Langland tennis courts, and obviously the council made the decision to to advertise expressions of interest for the double tennis court and one next to it. I've said to the leader and the cabinet member, I think that one tennis court, that extra one that they added in, that seemed like at the last minute, it's too much. I think with all these things in life there's compromise, and I think the community can kind of understand the council maybe in some degrees looking to improve that site potentially, as long as there's public benefits and benefits to the constituents of the area, whether that be extra sporting provision or a better public realm. And the leader said obviously that these need to be there needs to be a commercial element to pay for that. Now I'd just like to really re-emphasize this extra tennis court, in my opinion, is a bridge too far. And yes, it might be available if the whatever approaches come through from developers, but I think we should really try and get something a bit firmer down. I mean, it is too much. It's too much development. There is a history of tennis at Langland. We do want to try and keep those 4 single courts. So if I could just get over that that worry from the community and just have a response on that, please.
Thank you. Leader?
Thank you, Chair. And look, first of all, I was very grateful for Councillor Thomas's clarification that he isn't supportive of badger culling, and I look forward to him being equally blunt and equally clear about the fact that he doesn't support the pay rise for key workers. I'm sure he'll have a chance to do that at the next meeting, along with the rest of his Conservative colleagues, of course. Turning to this item, though, I know Councillor Thomas has lobbied hard on this, and I know that he is supportive of development in this area, and he is supportive of us finding the right scheme for the tennis courts. I know he has a disagreement on the fourth court, but I would refer Councillor Thomas back to the figures that we previously shared with him. You know, in 2013, the occupancy rate for the courts was just 4%, and that was the peak. In 2014, it went down to 3%, and in 2015, it was at 3%. And of course, it had suffered from very, very poor usage over a number of years. What we're trying to do, as Councillor Thomas knows, is to find a really positive way of adding to the attraction there, but keeping tennis courts in that area for use by the people. And you know, the occupancy rates would suggest that 3 could manage that. But as Councillor Thomas alluded to, we haven't ruled out the fact that if a scheme comes forward and that fourth tennis court is not needed, then it will remain. But we want to get the best scheme we possibly can for Langland and that area, and that's what we're seeking to do.
Just a point of information on that, Chair. To say I'm pro-development is a bit heavy. It's let's see what comes forward, and then I will make my opinion after I see what's come forward. Okay, thank you.
Well, Chair, I'm only repeating the facts, which is I know I've had constructive conversations with Councillor Thomas, and he has been helpful in proposing things that might work in that area, and I think that's to his credit.
Okay, thank you very much. Interesting. Question 8, Councillor Peter Black.
Chair, Presiding Member, I think Peter has had to leave the meeting, but I'm not sure. Councillor Mike Day.
Okay, Mike Day. Mike?
Thank you, Presiding Member, and thanks ever so much for the response. I think we all agree that the Holocaust Memorial Day is something which is so important, not just in terms of national statement, but also in connection with what we within the Swansea area feel and believe. And I'm sure we're all proud of the fact that we've been a city of sanctuary for some time. I think also that those of you who saw the presentation yesterday would have been delighted by the way in which the pupils had responded, for example, the way in which the different elements have been put forward, and some very moving stories portrayed. And I would ask if the Cabinet Member for Education and Lifelong Learning would be happy to convey our thanks as a council to the schools who were represented. But I'd just like to ask a question whether, understandably this year, the marking of Holocaust Memorial Day was very different. What will be the proposals for the future in connection with the way in which this is going to be marked, hopefully when we're in a position to do so much more freely next year?
Presiding Member, shall I answer, please?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, Alison. Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Day. And you know, first of all, I would like to thank all the officers that worked extremely hard yesterday over a number of months to be able to pull things together. And you're right, the school children were fantastic. We had university students involved with filming. There was a whole range of people, and you know, we were met with challenges because we had to do it virtually. You know, which you know, is a new experience in itself and everything. But you know, we had a lovely message of Norma Glasson this morning saying how wonderful she thought it all went yesterday, how grateful she was to us, and of course, you know, in answer to your sort of second question, you know, it came back within the council this year because obviously with COVID, all the pressures on schools and everything out there, it was one step too far to be pushing schools to deliver. But we were asked, you know, if we could make it more public, if we could make it a larger event, and Nick Williams had been on board from that with education, and then we worked with a range of partners to do so, and I think there will be meetings taking place now again, ready for next year. It was a success. We want to build on that. We want to make it larger, and City of Sanctuary and schools and everybody are very happy that it is a more public event out there. But those stories were powerful yesterday from everyone, and really we want to build on that so that it's never forgotten. This genocide's going on now. It's not just the past, is it?
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Robert Francis Davis.
I would like to reiterate that. I think Jane Whitmore has been chairing meetings for months. This has been a cross-council and cross-community participation. It's been a real co-production here to ensure it. The Brangwyn Hall was booked to have the Holocaust Memorial Day in there, but obviously with COVID, realised that couldn't happen. And so, like we've done with other things, we thought the virtual Holocaust Memorial Day would be important, using all the different groups. This goes across all religions. It's the Holocaust Memorial Day was not just about Germany and Auschwitz, and you got to remember what's going on in Cambodia with the Khmer Rouge and Bosnia, etc. And as Alison has said, still going on today in places. So it is important that we all work together. I hope and pray that next year we will be able to have the Holocaust Memorial Day in the Brangwyn Hall, using our schools, using our communities, and making sure that the theme gets across. It was from light to light from the darkness this year, but it was really a co-production. Alison, Louise Gibbard, myself have been meeting for months on this. And David Price-Dia worked exceptionally hard with the Culture Department, Social Services, Poverty and Prevention. The leader really has stressed that he wants to see this have the presence in Swansea that it deserves. And whilst it has been really good over the years with education, probably it's not the message not reaching as many people as we can this time, and how we can raise the presence of it throughout Swansea, through the Brangwyn Hall as well, and that use. And the way we lit up the buildings, I think, was very successful. So really good. The officers all pulled together, but our communities too.
Thank you, Robert. Councillor Linda Taylor-Lloyd.
I just want to quickly say that yesterday morning I attended 2 church services on Zoom. I'm just telling you this because people were very interested, very engaged, and after the services, they even stayed behind to discuss all the Holocaust and genocide and all that sort of thing. So I just wanted to say to you that people are engaging. These were not children, these were adults of all different ages, and I think that if we promote it by the council, it will be a huge success because people are really hungry for it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'm aware we are overrunning, but I'm keen to get to question 10 as it's important, I think, for the city. Question 9, Steve Gallagher. Steve?
Yes, thank you, Presiding Member. Thank you for the response from the Cabinet Member as well. However, I am a little disappointed that it took a council question to get a response from my email inquiry. Anyway, it's mentioned in the response that the Wales National Pool Swansea is a limited company. However, I must point out that it is not run as an independent company. Isn't it about time that we consider an option such as that operated by the LC and have professionals in this type of a facility to run it? Even though I accept this may not be possible until December 2023, it is something that we need to look at. Pre-COVID, you state that it was starting to perform well, but isn't it correct that over many years that it has been running at a loss and costing the Swansea taxpayer an enormous amount of money? can the member provide the figures that show how much money it is losing, and that we can justify to our taxpayers that it is worthwhile keeping as part of our portfolio rather than contracting it out? And I do accept that it is a service that we need to provide, but we also have to provide value for money. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Robert Francis Davis.
Well, the Wales National Pool, I'm amazed you think it's not being professionally run. I think that is an insult to the very professional staff we've got there. This is a partnership between Swansea University and our council. And it is very professionally run. You know, we have the advice of our professional officers from the council, and we have the advice of the professional officers from Swansea University. You say it's running at a loss. You show me a swimming pool and they're all run at a loss. So are you saying we should only be having services and leisure provision services that make a profit? And I think that's the difference there, Councillor Gallagher, between you and me. It doesn't make a loss, it has a subsidy. Now then, when I look at Councillor Day there, in the background, I can see the Botanic Gardens at Singleton. Do we put turnstiles on those? Do we want to start charging people to go in there? Klein Park makes a loss, or is it subsidised? Every one of our 58 parks and open spaces are all subsidised by our council because they are a place for health and well-being. Swimming pools, we have the Wales National Pool there. We have elite swimmers there. We have had Commonwealth champions. We've had Olympians coming out of that pool. And we made a decision, and not once did we know that that pool would break even. The old St. Helens pool was subsidised, which people look back in affection on. But this was a pool that when we were subsidised in the old St. Helens pool, when we was the university was subsidised in the university pool, we were happy that our subsidy would go to have a pool which is an 8-lane, 50-metre Olympic pool with a 4-lane, 25-metre warm-up pool, compared to the 6-lane, 25-yard pool, which didn't conform. But I'm just amazed that, well, it just goes to show what Conservatives stand for. Things have got to make a profit. So using your argument, don't make a profit, do we close it down? So do we close that beautiful garden scene that Mike Day has behind him? Do we close that down because there's no turnstiles and we're not selling tickets for it? It is well professionally run, as our Freedom Leisure running the leisure centres for us. It is still subsidised. They do not make a profit. So your argument don't hold up. If you want to see the figures are published every year, and they're in the minute book and on the agenda, and it's a matter of public record, and this is accessible public information. So they're not withheld from anybody. You are at budget, you see the reports every year of every facility we that run, and you can see the figures on of a report and can question at any time.
Thank you. No, Chris, the Cabinet members responded. Question 10, Councillor Phil Downing.
That's not fair, Des.
It is, Phil. It is, Chris. We'd be on all night otherwise. Phil Downing. Sam Pritchard, any supplementaries? Sam?
Yeah, can I ask a supplementary, please, Chair? First of all, can I thank the leader for his response? I think it's really good to know what's happening, what the plan is. But can I just ask, because this is a really crucial issue, can I ask about the ongoing prospects of job creation?
Can you hear me now?
I think this is vital that we understand what's to come.
Am I coming through?
Ask the leader.
Hang on, Phil, I'll call you next. Carry on, Sam.
There we go. That was basically my question, Chair. Just what are the ongoing prospects for our city with regards to job creation?
Right, thank you. Leader?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. I think, in terms of the response I've given there, you'll see that there's already a projected growth of 8.1% for Swansea. That means if you look at all the figures across Wales, Swansea is actually leading the recovery in Wales this year, or projected to, in terms of job creation. I think that's really important because businesses will be uncertain coming out of COVID. We have the dramatic impacts of now being outside the European Union, and we know that the Brexit deal that has been agreed is starting to bite. We are seeing businesses suffering in terms of their exports and people paying more for the goods that they're buying in this country, and that is something that all of us will face in the coming weeks. And I know many in this chamber warned against the impacts of that. In terms of the city, though, I think we've got a very positive year to look forward to. You will have all seen the press reports recently about the prospect of a government hub being established, or a public sector hub being established in the city centre. And again, we await the formal announcements on stuff like that. I'm unable to say too much about it this evening, but I do hope that we do see some positive announcements very shortly. I know our officers have been working incredibly hard to secure new jobs for the city centre. We are awaiting as well announcements on a significant amount of private sector investment, again coming into the city centre. And of course, this is all because this Labour administration has taken the opportunity to take the tough decisions and to make sure that we invest heavily in our city centre to attract businesses. Councillor Francis Davis and Councillor Hopkins and myself were on calls today and yesterday with prospective investors in the city. And I think, we can be really proud, because the one thing that we do need to do is to make sure Swansea exits COVID stronger and more resilient than when it went in. And I'm very proud of what we're doing. I know it's easy sometimes for members on the opposition benches to look at the costs of what we're doing, but they don't see the benefits of it. And I think Councillor Francis Davis just made that point very clearly to Councillor Gallagher. It's not just about what you invest, it's what you get back in return. It's the benefits that you reap. And, if we are able to secure long-term public and private sector jobs in the city centre, that will spur the need for more jobs in retail, in tourism, and it will secure us, as many of the public sector has in this city over decades, long-term jobs for the people of Swansea, and that's what it's about. We have been extremely successful in supporting people during the most difficult times, trying to eradicate poverty and trying to close the gap of people's incomes across the city from the rich areas to the poor. Supporting them in poverty is one side of the coin. Ensuring they got a very good job and long-term career to go to is the other. And I'm very pleased that we're doing both. So thank you, Councillor Pritchard, for that question.
Thank you. Now, Councillor Phil Downing, are you with us, Phil?
No.
Yes.
No. Yeah, am I there now?
Yes, you're there.
Go ahead. I didn't have a question, President Officer, but I couldn't get my mic off.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Councillor Wendy Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it was a comment. It is interesting that the fact that we are highly dependent on public sector jobs is now being extolled almost as a virtue, because if I recollect, it was something we were being criticised for as a city, in that we needed to attract far more public sector jobs and we were overburdened, if you like, by public sector jobs. What I wanted if the leader could comment on, it's all very positive that we are going to get all these jobs coming to Swansea. We are supposed to be getting, I think, well over 16,000 by net new jobs by 2025. I know COVID has perhaps muddied the waters, but what I really wanted the leader to perhaps comment on, it's been very, very disappointing that the Anchor store in the Quadrant has, is facing closure. Does he feel that there are going to be repercussions, or are we in a position where the closure of Debenhams will not have a massive impact on the city?
Leader.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Fitzgerald. I mean, look, we've always acknowledged that Swansea has a high percentage of public sector jobs. That is not a bad thing. And you've got to remember, those public sector jobs are in the services people rely on every day, and the ones that people have relied on during the pandemic. They are health service jobs. They are social care jobs. They are the true hero frontline workers. And I'm thank you for reminding me about that, because it's an absolute travesty that, having put themselves at risk, those same frontline key workers are now facing a pay freeze because of decisions taken in London. I think it's appalling, and I would hope that everybody in this chamber will condemn the fact that those frontline workers who put their lives on the line to keep us all safe and now having a pay rise they were expecting taken away from them. I can't think of a worse action that could be taken in a way of trying to respect and reward people for the efforts they've made. Turning to your other points around obviously the impact of Debenhams, it's a national failure, as I'm sure you'll accept. We obviously moved quickly during the time of the pandemic to try and shore up Debenhams locally. We deferred their rates payments to give them some breathing space, with the hope that a rescue package could be put in place. It's very disappointing that the auditors or the adjudicators have put the brand with Boohoo and made it an online retailer. But the store is a key element of the quadrant. It isn't owned by the council. It is in private ownership. I believe it's owned by Debenhams Pension Fund, are the owners. But we will do as we've done before, which is we will seek to try and assist whoever the owners or new potential tenants are to utilise that space. We will look at all options, and we will try to create the best possible additional tenant into that really important shopping centre that's in Swansea. I have to say as well, Councillor Fitzgerald, that if we weren't already delivering via the city deal and the other projects in the city centre, because people, when they return to Swansea city centre after this pandemic, are going to see a significant change. The skyline has changed. The arena has been built. The other developments around the city centre are well underway, and more will come next year. And our aim is to make sure the momentum isn't lost. And that's why I hope when we come to look at phase 2, which could include that public sector hub, I hope members will not be focused on cost, but be focused on what it gets us. Because everything we're building in the city centre is something that potentially makes us a long-term income stream and provides not just jobs, but a return for the taxpayer. And that's a very good thing.
Thank you, Leader. There were hands flashing and then removing. I do not have any other indications of anyone to speak. That being the case, it is now 8 minutes past 8, well past the 30 minutes allocated. Before I end, can I thank Andrew Stevens for his attempts at rectifying the audio problems earlier, and also Mark, the Lord Mayor, for taking the chair at the beginning of the meeting. And thank you all for your patience and understanding of the difficulties that arose at the beginning of the meeting. But I think we've ended it quite well. Both audio and visual has worked out in the end. But hopefully we can iron out the creases in future. Thank you all for your attendance, and I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.